Hey friends, I'm Scott Hanselman and it's Azure Friday. Today we're going to meet Azure HorizonDB, cloud native Postgres re-engineered for extreme performance and built for the AI era. And Charles is going to teach me how it works today on Azure Friday. Hey friends, it's Azure Friday. How are you, Charles?
I'm good, Scott. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I love a good demo. I love a giant database, and Azure Horizon DB has all of that and more. And you've brought some demos for me so I can understand what gets unlocked. What is the real unlock with this new cloud native Postgres?
Yeah, so the think about Horizon DB, you got to split it into two parts, right? Think about compute and storage that we've completely decoupled. With Horizon DB at the compute layer, it's just Postgres. It means that it's fully compatible. Your Postgres applications are gonna just work perfectly. But what we've done is we've effectively built a new storage layer, and that's comprised of the log service, the wall storage, if you will, and then a shared data storage, which by default is striped across the availability zones in Azure. And what this enables us to do is deliver significantly higher scalability with respect to storage, significantly higher performance, which we typically think of as transactions per second across zones. So you've got that durability. And then availability is improved as well, because with the shared storage architecture, we can significantly reduce failover times, typically to around about 5 seconds.
Wow. I'm looking at these commit latency numbers and these failover times on your slide here. This is huge and fast, which is surprising. Sometimes you can get one, but not both.
Yeah, and that's really the trick, particularly with AI applications that are starting to store more and more data, embeddings, we'll talk about those in a second. Storage is getting pressured, and then inherently compute gets pressured as well. So we worked on building something really big, but of course, for those high transactional applications, you need something that goes quick as well. And I think we've been able to do both with that availability that comes with multi-zone deployments.
Right. Another thing I think people think about when they think about Postgres is they want to write their SQL, their SQL. They want to do things that are native. They don't want it to feel tacked on or added on. If they want to do vector search or AI, they want it to feel like it's really part of it and not a, oh yes, and also, an add-on or a plugin of some kind. How do we do those native things and make it feel, or not just feel, but actually be native?
Yeah, so I'm going to show you that in a second. Before we get to that, I did want to show you actually some of the performance characteristics we actually have
Hmm,
with Horizon. I
let's do it.
ran a little perf test before we got here in the interest of time.
Yeah.
And on the left, what basically we ran is self-managed Postgres. In
Oh,
Azure, I can tell you this was the exact same hardware SKUs, the exact same region spread across the exact same zones, exact same version of Postgres. We couldn't have made it more identical comparison.
okay.
Self-managed Postgres will give you about 4,500 transactions per second. On the right, Horizon gives you over 9,000. So you see pretty much a two and a half, maybe depending on how you look at it, transactions per second increase, and that's all of that storage system that I talked about. Now,
Wow.
to move forward, however, and talk about writing things in SQL for the database, there
Hmm.
is one thing that we've done, and we call it AI model management. And in the portal now, when you provision Horizon, you can automatically enable what we call AI model management. And that will, as part of deploying Horizon, deploy a backend foundry for you and pre initialize a set of models that are directly accessible to the database. And this removes a whole bunch of sort of manual processes you might go to stitching services together. And then I'm going to show you actually how you can then write against these models using SQL, which for a database developer is language that they can write in their sleep.
Absolutely. Yeah, I want to see how that linkage is because that linkage should feel like SQL. It should feel natural.
Yep. Okay, so let's switch over to VS Code now. Before we
Hmm.
get into that, what I want to show you is we've built this VS Code extension for Postgres. We've
Mm.
been moving incredibly quickly here. We're trying to build some phenomenal tooling both for developers who live in VS Code
Hmm.
and for database managers who are perhaps monitoring and running these services. And so one thing I just want to give you a really quick flyby on is how we're bringing a lot of server or Azure or server management operations directly into VS Code. Right? I'm not going to go through all of these at all. We're constantly adding these, but really this is the interface for building and running your databases. And so we want to bring a whole bunch of functionality in here. to save that, perhaps sort of split braining between maybe the portal or command line interfaces for really repetitive tasks that's just easier to click,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. VS Code is really becoming the dashboard for everything, and it has
Yeah.
such a great extensibility model that this looks native and it's gorgeous. I'm sure there's probably things that are hidden that are even more gorgeous.
Yeah, so why don't I can show you one of those right now, actually.
Let's
So
do it.
here's a basic query, and
Mhm.
I can go ahead actually and go run this,
Okay.
and we get a result set, and that's, as you would expect, it looks like a table. But up here, we've implemented these new visual query plans, and I love these. Right, as
Oh,
someone
wow.
who spent the best part of a decade staring at query plans myself, it's a little too much zoom there. I love these because they're very nice to look at, and I should sort of give a nod to our designers who did a phenomenal job here.
Mm.
You've got a couple of different ways to look at these. The tree view with the color coded costing is perhaps the most classical way to look at query plans.
Mhm.
But I also really like the table view. Let me get rid of this guy down here because
Oh,
the
look at
table
that.
view is a different view on this. And again, you can see we're bringing the icons, we're showing you tables and how we're using an index over here. But the fine print here is, and you may not have noticed it yet, is Copilot. And so, traditionally debugging query plans is a lot of manual toil, right? Databases or DBAs your developers have got their queries, their toolkit, if you will, to path through sort of system views and try to figure out what's going on. You can get very good at it, but it's time consuming and it's repetitive. And so what we've done with Copilot, and I can run it from here, or perhaps I can come back to where we were here. Let's slide into our nested loop here. I'll just fire off Copilot, and we've built prompts into VS Code directly to tell Copilot what to go do with this operator.
Mhm.
And here I actually picked it based on operator, and it's having a think about this. But I could also use Copilot directly at the top here to give me a summary of the entire plan. So
Yeah.
here we go. It's getting to work. It's
You know what's nice
evaluating it.
about this though is that it's a combination of stuff. Like we don't you didn't just throw AI at the thing. You've got good design. I don't do Postgres, but I immediately with the heat map could tell. I understood the call stack. I saw immediately the nested loop was critical in the bitmap scan. But it's
Yeah,
also tedious to go and analyze that. So then you click on Copilot, you feed the context into, in this case, Sonnet, and I see it's actually using tools. You've got a whole contextual tool set there with I can see the query plan connect, all those tool pans. This is toil that you would have done manually a year
yeah,
ago, correct?
yeah. This is even less than a year ago.
Oh,
Three
wow.
months ago.
3 months ago.
So, and I guess the two important things to point out here. First of all, for application developers, deep Postgres knowledge is
Mm,
not typically their priority, right? They're focused on sort of application code. So, being able to help them become experts in Postgres is one part of it. The other
yep.
part is that this actually works with any Postgres. It's not an Azure exclusive. You can connect to Postgres on other clouds. You can
Hmm,
connect to it in a Docker container on your laptop, in your own data center. Everything I'm showing you here just works because it's just talking to Postgres.
that's great. That's really important. I mean, it's cool that you have sprinkled special herbs and spices on Postgres to make Azure HorizonDB so great. But to your other point, it's Postgres,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
pretty cool.
And that's the most important thing, I think. And I'm gonna move on to the next thing. I think with Postgres, you come with an expectation of compatibility, right? The Postgres API is massively adopted
Hmm.
throughout all industries for a variety of different scenarios. And so that sort of goes back to the point they made with Horizon that at the top, everything above the waterline, so to speak, is just Postgres. It's going to work the way you expect. The performance enhancements and scale enhancements we put in are below the waterline. So you don't really see them. You don't need to think about them when you're designing your application. So the
Very
final
cool.
thing that I want to talk about today is how we're bringing durable pipelines. We call them AI pipelines
Hmm.
natively into Postgres. I've built many databases myself over the years. I tend to have a preference to putting more of that logic into the database because your databases and the data itself is pretty portable, right? And you can fail over across zones, you can fail over across regions and what have you. And so with pipelines, what we're doing is we're optimizing the ingestion. And then in this case, how we can create embeddings over chunks of data as it lands
Mm.
in the database. So
I see. I want to just make sure I'm understanding that line 18, that magic string, that's the model that you showed me before in Azure, and that's that direct mapping.
you're completely right. Yep. And so that's connecting the dots perfectly. So, what I can do here is, data can come into a database in a variety of ways. You can write a classic insert statement. Often you'll get change feeds that might be pushing data in the back end. You might bulk load some data from cloud storage. I've got a table here that I can actually just go run here. It's got a whole bunch of furniture data. Nothing special, just for the sake of what we're doing here. But what we've implemented in the Azure AI extension, and one of the best things about Postgres is the extensibility model, where you can write these extensions against the database engine itself, is we enable you now to create pipelines. And
Hmm.
so we'll walk the code here really quickly. You can see I'm giving it a name, I'm giving it a source, which is the product sample table that I just referenced above.
Hmm.
And then I'm giving it an array, which is the sequence of steps that I wanted to take. And so there's a function that we wanted to chunk the data. And then we want to create these embeddings. And that's where we're saying, hey, use that model that was actually automatically available to Horizon. It's just there, right? As I showed you in the portal earlier.
Right.
I want to go chunk the text, which is the column that's being put into the model. I want the embedding model to give me about 1500 dimensions, which is a common number. And I'm going to batch this. And then there's a trigger where with the table changes, it's going to run. So I can go run this or create this pipeline, I should say. And that's created the object, so to speak, but it's not actually running at this point. And so I can go kick that off. And what we should see here is my output table, if it's right, it's got 0 rows. But in the background, this is running. And so hopefully there's the first 10. So my first batch
Ah.
landed. So what happened here is this table was preceded with data. So asynchronously in the background, my pipeline is calling out to Foundry and the text embedding model, passing it those 10 chunks that it created, and then bringing it back and storing it in the database. And we chunk data because it enables us to create more relevant embeddings or vectors that we can then search over and get more relevant results for the language models.
So, forgive my ignorance. I think it's kind of a decent analogy. Like when I think about doing an index or indexing a column, that's a thing that's happening in the background. And if you add more data, that index is getting updated. Embeddings are kind of like that. Do I have to run this again when more data shows up, or are the embeddings
No,
going to be updated?
no, so that's the thing. I mean, imagine more data has shown up just as we were talking.
Hmm.
If I go run this again, where's my cursor here? Go
Hmm.
run that.
Oh, wow.
There's
There it is.
there's the 130. So
Love it.
so, but what's really powerful about these, and I don't have the code to show it here, is these are durable. So I can
Mhm.
actually stop them. I can resume them. If the server fails over to the other side of the world, it will just pick up where it left off and keep going, right?
Right. And
And
if
so
you
that's
update
really
the embedding
powerful.
model, you could get an upgrade of the embedding model. It becomes
Yep,
text embedding 4. Then you could go and do that as well.
exactly. Or you could, new vector indexing technology will come in and you switch from, you might have been using HNSW, which is an open source vector index for Postgres, and you might
Mhm.
switch to DiskANN, which is Microsoft technology that we're also embedding into Postgres as well.
That's cool. I dig it. This is pretty cool, and it feels like Postgres because it is Postgres.
It's
HorizonDB is just but it's Postgres with so much more and twice as fast.
Yeah, so what we've shown here is the Azure AI extension, and the
Mhm.
functionality that I've demonstrated is a Postgres extension as you would know it, but it's specific to Horizon. But
Mhm.
then you can think about this running exactly with that scale and the performance that we talked about. And the thing about these embeddings, coming back to the point I made earlier, is they're really big. Right? A standard integer in a database that we commonly use is 4 bytes. Your big int is like 8 bytes. Uh,
Mm.
Embedding, I think, as I recall, a 1500 dimension embedding, I think it's about 3 kilobytes. Maybe
Yeah.
it's a little less, 2 kilobytes. And when you think that a database page in and of itself is only 8 kilobytes, you get to a world very quickly where you used to have thousands of rows per database page. Now you might have one or two.
Yeah.
And so you need a lot more terabytes, and by association, a lot more compute. And that indexing becomes incredibly important to deliver the performance that you need.
Okay, so as we head towards the end of our show here, how do I get this? I always say this at the end of every show because it's like, is it in preview? Do I have to sign up or do I just do it now?
Yeah, so you can do it now. So what I talked about with the AI model management is in a private preview.
Okay.
But HorizonDB itself is a full public preview. I think we've got about 10 or 12 Azure regions lit up around the world, maybe a few more.
Wow.
So you'll be able to find it. Everything that we talked about with respect to the scale is there. You should be able to reproduce that performance test if you're interested yourself. So you go ahead and get started, and we're going to push a few more of these things out in the coming months.
And we would go to the HorizonDB website on Azure.com to learn more.
Exactly, that's the best place to start.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much, Charles, for hanging out with me today. I'm learning all about the new Postgres on Azure HorizonDB.